In this video, I'll talk about a way to optimize applications that are bundled with Webpack. This optimization technique is not necessarily part of Webpack's core, by which I mean it is not a feature that Webpack uniquely provides by itself. Instead, what Webpack does is to allow you to use some syntax, some instructions that will in essence turn to some browser optimizations techniques. In this case, we are talking about resource hints. There are others besides preloading, about which we will talk in this video. What you need to know about preloading is that when you are dealing with certain assets such as CSS files, JavaScript modules, or JavaScript files, images, fonts, videos, when the browser encounters a URL to such asset, there are some under the hood costs of making a request to that asset. You have to have the DNS to kick in to find the address of the server. You have to wait for packets to be transferred between the server and the client, and this might take time. Not to mention if the server is very far away from the client's computer or the client's device. So what this resource hint allows you to do is to tell the browser to fetch this or to preload, which in essence means to fetch that asset in the browser's idle times, if I'm not wrong. I'm not exactly sure when the preloading occurs, but it is for sure that it will fetch in parallel this asset and it will store it in the browser's cache, such that when the user will actually require that asset will be directly served from the cache, and that might actually improve a lot the performance of your application. So this is why preloading is necessary, and thankfully it is provided by Webpack as well when dealing with chunks. So what you're seeing here is very small applications that we will use in this video. This index chunk is the main chunk, this is the A chunk, this is the B chunk, and this is the A1 chunk. This green rectangle here represents a chunk, and the yellowish, I guess, rectangle here is the module that belongs to that chunk. Just a quick note, a chunk is just a way to say to mean a file. So a chunk is a file that contains modules that are bundled by Webpack. So we have this application in place. This is how the app looks. Let's see a bit the code. So this is the code. I'm going to zoom in a little. So this is the index file, so once again, I think I should start with the beginning. So it all starts with the index.js file, which will in essence determine an entry chunk, which is a very big file, or maybe not so big, but it is a big file that contains a lot of runtime code generated by Webpack. So this index file is actually this file here, which will belong to the index chunk. This index file will dynamically import using the import function, which will create a chunk. It will import first of all the A chunk and then the B chunk when clicking on certain buttons. The A chunk simply does the same thing, but by importing a different chunk, which is A1, which no longer imports anything, and the same goes for B as well, which doesn't import anything. So this is the actual code. Now let's see how it works in practice. I think I forgot the essential step now, or the essential aspect. Notice one thing which might confuse you for now, but it is necessary because I think it will allow you to understand a lot more things. We have this webpackPreload here to the A chunk, which is in essence imported in the main chunk, which is index.js. As you see, this won't work, and I think I'll cover it right in the next video why. But I just wanted to give you a heads up because I personally learned a lot from this confusion that I also had initially about this chunk not being preloaded, and you'll see why later. So yeah, just a heads up. Next I'm going to show you that the A chunk actually imports A1 with also the magic comment webpack preload, which is the way, by the way, to activate the preloading feature. And what Webpack does under the hood is to inject a link ref, a link with the href to that chunk, and it will also have the preload attribute. But we'll see that in a minute. So A1 imports, A imports A1 with this magic comment true. Now let's see how it works in practice. Here we have a very beautiful app. I'm going to refresh. I'm going to look at the network tab, and as expected, or maybe not so expected, we don't see here the A chunk, although the A chunk here is imported dynamically with the webpack preload true. So this might seem a bit confusing because as I said, by adding this preload hint, the browser should fetch that resource and store it in the cache. But as you'll see, and as you see now, it doesn't happen. Why? I think this topic will deserve its own video. But let's see what happens if I click B, which is a simple dynamic import. It will fetch B file right away, and notice that there are some costs of making a request. Of course, this isn't the case now because it's just on my computer, but imagine a real case when you have to once again perform the DNS queries. You have to wait for the round trips, for the packets for being transferred, and for parsing as well. That's also a big factor. And if the file is very big, the impact on the users might be very visible. So that's why this hint is actually very handy. Now, if I click on load a.js, it will load A, which once again it will also import A1, which is a preloaded chunk. Let's see what happens. If I click on this button, A and A1 will be fetched, but A1 will not, this module, this response that we have got here, this won't be executed. This file, this content will be stored in the browser's cache. And when we actually load this file, meaning when we press this button, the file will actually be executed. But notice that when I actually need the A1 module, this will be executed right away, and no other request will be made here. And just to make things a bit more clear, I'm going to go a bit with the debugger in this main file. So I have some breakpoints. One is when the A module will be executed, and one other breakpoint is when the A1 module is executed. Now if I think I did hit refresh. I'll hit it again. Okay, now if I load B, this shouldn't concern me now. It's just how the how Webpack does all of this. In essence, when you load this chunk, it will check if this chunk should have it checks if this chunk has any other chunks that should be preloaded, and this is the map that Webpack is using. And by the way, this is a good moment to show you what in essence Webpack does. Is just to have this link rel preload as script, because we're loading a script and then injecting the link into the HTML. So this is what Webpack does in the end. Let's also place a breakpoint here. I think it will be useful. Now if I load A, it will have this function being hit, E, which will do two things. First, it will load the A module. Let me also put a breakpoint here. And now it will check, okay, this A chunk has the ID 0 for some reason, and it will check against this map, and it will determine that it has some chunks to be preloaded, and then it will end up preloading those files. There could be more, but in this case, as you see, it will create a link with rel attribute set to preload for that resource. Let's also go to the final step here. The href will be the A1, because once again A1 has been imported dynamically in the A chunk with this magic comment, which is this one here. So this is in essence loading sort of in parallel, but this A1 module won't be executed right away. And let's actually see that. So this is the place, the moment when the A module, which imports A1, but this time only A has been imported, has been executed. And now, as you've seen, the A1, the breakpoint that has been placed on A1 hasn't been yet executed, because the module, once again, has only been stored in the cache. It's not actually loaded or executed now. But now if I press on A1, I'm seeing this place on a.js where this module is loaded. Now if we go through all of this, or I think we shouldn't go through all of this right now. It is interesting to explore what's going on here. I think there are a lot of things to be learned, but what I want to show you now in the end of this video is how this A1 module is finally executed here now. But once again, the advantage of this approach is that you don't have to wait for the fetching of the file. You're just getting that file from the browser's cache, which is a lot more faster than waiting for DNS queries and so on. Okay, there are some other topics that are left uncovered for now, because I don't want this video to get too long. But what we'll cover in future videos, I hope, is maybe what happens if A1 would also import a chunk dynamically and with the Webpack preload magic comment. And once again, why this A module isn't loaded here, isn't preloaded here, although I have declared it, I have imported it with the Webpack preload magic comment. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I think I will see you, and I hope I will see you in the next videos. Bye.